Hello, my name is Irania, and we are going to talk about a folk tale that I wrote many years ago called Wings and Dreams. Before I do that, I want to sing a song with you, and I am using my guitar called Cuatro. Now you know why it's called Cuatro. And this guitar is from Venezuela, the country that I come from. So if you wish, you can sing with me. And the song is very easy. I'm going to say I la, and you're going to say I la. So I say I la, and you say I la. And here we go. I la, I la, I la, I la, I la. I la, I la, I la, I la, I la. Hola, hola, mis amigos. Hello, hello, my friends. Vengo a contar historias. I come to tell stories. Historias del pasado. Stories from my past. Historias de mi gente. Stories from my people. I la, I la, I la, I la, I la. I la, I la, I la, I la, I la. I la, I la, I la, I la, I la. Well, Wings and Dreams. I think you saw a video where I was reading the story Wings and Dreams, in Spanish, Alas y Sueños. And let me tell you a little bit about my story as a bilingual writer. My first book was called Chipi Chipi, Small Shells of the Sea, Chipi Chipis Caracolitos del Mar. Then I have written several books for teachers and librarians. This is a poetry book. It's an anthology called The Fragrance of Water, La Fragancia del Agua. And this is a folk tale. Es una leyenda in Spanish called Alas y Sueños, Wings and Dreams. And so I am going to tell you a little bit about this story. And how did I came with the idea to write Wings and Dreams? Well, many years ago, I was living in the United States. I came to the United States in the year 1993, long time ago, more than 20 something years ago. And in Venezuela, there is a magical place called Angel Falls. Angel Falls is the highest waterfall in the world. And this is located in the rainforest in a place called Canaima. So when I was living in Venezuela, I never visited Canaima. And it was when I was living in the United States that I decided to go and explore this magical place. So I went there, and I remember I actually was in a village, and in this place, it's very authentic. They don't speak Spanish there. There is a lot of people that are indigenous. They are from the Pemones tribe, and they speak Pemon, which is a different language. It's a native language from the Indians who lived and settled in that area in the south of Venezuela. And the storyteller of the tribe, his name was Miguel. By accident, I happened to meet him, and we drove in a canoe. Actually, we took a canoe to the foot of Angel Falls. And this is a journey that it takes about 2 or 3 hours. And we were, in the canoe. And he told me the story of the creation of Angel Falls. Angel Falls in the Pemones language is called Perepacupay Meru. Perepacupay Meru, it means the princess coming from inside the earth, or the beauty inside the earth. And this was an amazing story that it was never told. I have never heard about this story. And so I rewrote the story. He told me the story coming from an authentic storyteller, from a person who actually have heard the story orally for many generations, but it was never written. So I had the privilege to write the story. And here, I call it Wings and Dreams, and in Spanish, Alas y Sueños. So that's kind of how I came to learn about the story of Wings and Dreams. Now, You know, in the past, I was really never interested about writing folk tales, but this was such a beautiful and optimistic story that I thought I have to write the story. And I wrote it in English and Spanish because I actually heard the story in Spanish. And it is interesting as a writer because I feel in Spanish. I'm not sure how many of you speak Spanish, but my mother tongue is Spanish. So I wrote the story all in Spanish and then I translated. It was hard because, you know, sometimes it doesn't fit the words. It's not easy to write sometimes in a bilingual way, but I want this book to be able to be heard and read in English and Spanish so more people can actually see the beauty of the story. So for many of you, I think some of you have actually seen the other video where I was reading the story. I'm going to briefly just summarize the story because I have a few questions after you kind of remember the story. So in the beginning, we're talking about a shaman who has a grandson, and the name of the grandson is Tacupi, and he assigned Tacupi a name. He gave him a name, and actually in its name there is a lot of power. There is a call that he assigned to his grandson Tacupi. And so Tacupi used to speak the language of nature. He actually understood the language of birds, spoke with birds, and so he was always surrounded by nature and by the rainforest. And so his wisdom comes from nature. Then there is a conflict in the story, and it's when the conquistadores, they're called the giants of the north, who came to settle in South America, they were killing them because they did not have their same belief. And so the Pemones Indians have to hide, and they were always scared, and they hid in the south. They moved from the north to the south. So the shaman was worried, and the shaman assigned to his grandson Tacupi to find a promised land, the land where they will be living in peace. And he said that he has seen already, the shaman said he has seen this land in his dreams. And he said that in his dream, as he visualized this prophecy, this place where they were moved, which is the promised land, is surrounded by clouds. And so he said, you will recognize this place, Tacupi, because this place will be surrounded by clouds. Then he gave Tacupi 3 interesting charms and amulets. We call it in Spanish amuletos. And so this is a very interesting part here because he gave him earplugs, and not earplugs that we used to listen to music, but these are really earplugs, so the traditional earplugs. And he said, wear your earplugs because you, on the journey, you will hear a sound, and this is the sound of a bird called piapoco. And this sound is a sound that will make you sad and nostalgic. And when you hear it, you might feel the need to come back, and we don't want you to come back. And so this is actually a very interesting, unique concept because we immigrants, we are homesick many times, and when we smell the food we used to eat, and when we remember, it makes us very much homesick, and we actually want to come back. But because he was assigned to keep going, he said, please just try to avoid the need to come back. So close your ears so you don't hear the sound of the past. Then he also gave him a bear claw, and this will was going to protect him from the snakes and the wild and the tigers and everything that he was going to encounter that was dangerous. And then this gourd has magic water, and he said, be careful with this gourd because if you spill it, this water will never stop from spilling. So he blessed his son, and he said, go son, find the land of our ancestors. And so Tacupi started his journey, and he found other friends in the journey until a huge sound came along, and they thought it was an earthquake, but it was the sound of an eagle who broke one of its wings. And so Takupi used the magic water and poured it on the eagle, and the eagle healed. And so the eagle was so thankful that took Takupi on its shoulders, on its back, and they flew on top of the land, magic land that is actually like this. And the rivers, when I went there, are red, and there is a special chemical from the roots of the trees that are on the water that make this place red. So the color of the water is red. So the eagle took Takupi and flew high. So Takupi is here very scared, and the ears plugs went away, and he finally arrived to the top of a mountain. And when he realized that he was in this mountain surrounded by clouds, he remembered the promise of his grandfather, the shaman, who said, remember, you recognize this place because you will be surrounded by clouds. So he started to run and celebrate that he was already in this place. And by accident, he stepped on top of a rock and he crashed the gourd with magic water. And because of he said the magic water started spilling. Remember, he said, be careful. And the magic water started flowing and flowing and flowing, and it reached the edge of the mountain. And from that day, it actually became a waterfall that still to these days bathed the land of the south, and it never stopped from spilling. And so this is the folktale of Wings and Dreams. And I have actually a few questions for you about the elements of a folk tale. And I know you know some of these elements, so I would like just to see if these elements that are part of folk tales in general are also some elements that we can see in Wings and Dreams. So one of the elements is magic is commonly used in folk tales. So my question for you is there any magic happening in the folk tale? And the answer is yes. Remember that he used the magic water to heal the eagle, and it also was the water that it was used to, that became the waterfall. So it is this is a magic. Also the magic that the grandfather could see this place in the future as a promise. In a way, this mystical vision is part of a folk tale. So there is magic in Wings and Dreams. Characters are usually flat, meaning that they are uncomplicated. And it's true. You know, if you see, we don't really develop Takupi. We know he was a brave man, and we know that he loved nature, and he could speak he was wise and could speak the language of nature, but we don't know him emotionally. We don't know really what makes him angry. So psychologically, we don't really know much about Takupi. Neither we know much about Shaman as a character. So it's kind of a superficial introduction to the main characters, because I really didn't develop Takupi, the main character, neither the shaman, neither the people that he met in the journey. So that is actually one of the elements that is also represented in Wings and Dreams. The hero is usually young and fair, not fair, but fair in the way that he was judged, not by the color, kind, honorable, strong, courage. So these are some of the elements because Takupi fulfill these characteristics. There is also in folk tales explain a natural phenomena that otherwise would have not have explanation. So I'm going to read these because this is actually one of the characteristics of this folk tale. Folk tales explain a natural phenomena that otherwise would have not explanation. So what is that natural phenomena that happened, or what is this natural miracle that happened in the story that otherwise wouldn't have explanation? I'm gonna give it away, but it is actually the creation of this waterfall. It is amazing. This waterfall is, you cannot see the top of the waterfall. You can only see it from when you are actually flying on an airplane. It's about 1 kilometer high. And it's so when you see this is so impossible. How this huge mountain, which is a waterfall, came to be. So this is a natural question, a question about nature that people, without any scientifically proof or tools will answer how this actually was formed. And so the folk tale and the vision of the shaman and the eagle respond to that mystery. And so it is something that did not otherwise have an explanation, but it did have an explanation through the story. One of the things that we see also is the number 3. So folktales, somehow number 3 is an element that is represented in, it could be 3 characters, but here, what is the 3 things that you remember that are part of the folktales? The 3 things are actually, sometimes there's 3 scenes, 3 struggles, but in this case, is these 3 elements that that were part of the ways that Takupi protected himself in the journey, which is the ear plugs, the claw, which is the bear claw, and the magic board. And there are promises that were fulfilled, and conflict are usually resolved with great deeds of acts of human kindness. And in this way, the kindness was actually the eagle, not human kindness, but the conflict of the story, which is the fact that they needed to find another land where they would be safe. That's the conflict, and it was resolved by Takupi finding that beautiful place, which is on top of the mountain, which is the Angel Falls or Kerepakupai Meru. So Takupi actually at the end of the story moved with the eagle, moved all the tribe to this magic place. So finally the conflict of the story was resolved. And I promise, when I wrote this story, I had no idea that these were elements of a folktale. I just rewrote what I was listening from the real storyteller of the village, of the Pemones tribe. And so later I realized that, oh goodness, this is an authentic treasure, it's an authentic folktale. And now that we see these elements of the folktales, I found very beautiful also that this story can help me as an immigrant, and can help other people in search for answers, in search for a place where they feel themselves, in search for a place that they can find home. So I found this story a very beautiful tool also to help others to find meaning. And one of the things that I actually gonna ask you, and you can pause the video, or you can, briefly see if you can rewatch the video and see if you can answer to these questions. But in the story, the shaman gave a name to his grandson, and he called him Takupi, and he said, Takupi, you will be able to speak the language of any bird. You are strong as a bear, and in your crying, I can hear the voice that will be heard beyond our village. So you see, in his name was already a promise. And you know something, when our parents gave us names, in that moment, whether you like your name or not, the name that our parents gave us is the most beautiful word they can come in that moment. So your name already carries a beautiful promise. So I want to ask you, what is your name? And I also want to ask you, why are you named that way? Are you, maybe your name is, you're named after your mother? Are you named after your father? Are you named after a very important person? So I would like you to think about that. So you will be able to, that's what the grandfather said to Takupi, you will be able to. I want to ask you, what are you able to do? What are you able to change? What are you able to transform? What are your your blessings? What is it that you have that you are proud that you can give to others? That's a beautiful question to ask you, that it was also part of the story. Your voice will be heard beyond our village. That's what the shaman said. Now, my question for you is, I know that we are now changing and we're doing all these online classes, and it's kind of a very sometimes lonely time because we are, isolated. But if I ask you, your voice will be heard, what do you think about that? Your voice, what's your voice? Is your voice your thoughts? Is your voice the music that you write? Is your voice the impact that you have when you play a game? Your voice, I want you to think about that. Now, also, there is a part in the story that I want you to also reflect, and it's when the shaman tells Takupi, to the south lays the promised land of our ancestors, the realm to which we must go. In my dream and the dreams of our warrior, I have seen the place where we might live in peace. You will recognize this place because you can touch the clouds. You can even play with them. You will find it. Go, son, start your journey. So if I ask you, what's that place that you will recognize that is your place? What is that space? Whether it's inside your house, whether it's outside, whether you do theater, whether you do music, whether you like to read and you feel, oh, this is a place that I belong. This is a space that I feel safe. And how do you recognize this is your space, your place? Or if you have to find it in the future, like when I grew up, I want to do this. When I grew up, I want to be this. That space, that place, where is that place? What do you have to do to find that place? And how would you recognize that this is your place? In a way, this is your call. So what is your call? What do you want to do with your skills? Even if you don't know what are those skills, have you thought about what is it that I came to do in this world? Because we all have a call. We all have come to this life to improve something, to change something. We have that promise the moment we are born. And that was the promise the shaman assigned Takupi. We all have it. And I want to also ask you a question in regards of these three elements. And these three elements, I'm trying to find this. It says, the shaman said, take these earplugs to stop you from hearing the sound of the piapoco, which is the song of nostalgia and longing. Take this amulet to protect you against the storms, the anacondas, and the bushmasters, the jaguar, and the fire ants. And take this gourd full of magic water, tie it firmly and around your neck, and take great care for its miracle. And it's a miracle water that can heal. And he said, use it with great caution and wisdom. If you misuse it, you will never stop it from spilling. So this is actually one of my favorite parts in the book. And so I have a question. Imagine that somebody gives you three things. They're your amulets, your charms. And these three things, you can use it to protect yourself. So if I ask you, what are things around you, words, people around you that protect you? Can you think about that? What are your amulets? What areas in your life right now you feel you need protection and why? And tell me about the sound of this bird that makes you sad. What sounds, what memories, what things give you nostalgia? Write about it. And tell me if you don't want to write about it. Think about why you don't want to write about it. And the reason I'm asking you to answer these questions and write about it is because I am also poetry therapy facilitator. And with poetry, I have discovered that I write poetry. I have it here. And I write all my thoughts. I write all my struggles, my conflicts, my frustrations. I write them down. And sometimes I cannot resolve them. And sometimes I don't feel better even writing them down. But when I see them and I share it in a paper, something that feels so big and is now reduced to the side of a paper, it becomes smaller, and it's something that I feel that now I can master. It's better that it's here than here. And when I witness my own writing, it is actually something that heals me. Like the eagle, that she, receive a little bit of magic water. Writing for me is like that magic water. So I use transformative writing as a way to help others also to find their answers to their own questions, to their own struggles. So I have found that writing is my magic water. And I am asking you now, what is your magic water? And if you don't know what is your magic water, I challenge you to find it. Find something that help you to grow, to feel better, to feel that you can be a gift to others. So with that, I am going to close with my song, Ayla, Ayla. Ayla, 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 Ayla. Adios, adios, goodbye, goodbye, my friends. Adios, adios, goodbye, goodbye, my friends. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy reading about folk tales and about the power of reading stories and reading books. Thank you for the chance to be with you today.